Welcome into the half. My name is Aaron Montgomery. This is Erich Campbell. He and I were just sitting here having a great conversation by ourselves. I came running in late, and then I hit the wrong button, didn't hit the go live. Anyhow, sorry guys, we are here. Thank
Let's
you
just
so
say
much.
this. We already had a private show to start for ourselves, I guess.
Yeah,
So it's nice that we gave ourselves some me time, some us time. So
yeah.
we already had our beginning to the half, but we're
Yeah.
happy to bring you into the half.
Yeah,
So
welcome into the half that Eric and I have been having. No, so great for you guys to be here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Sorry, we're
yes.
a smidge late. We were just talking about the fact that, things are busy, which hopefully means lots of opportunities. So, Eric, I'll let you take it from there.
Well, as I kind of said previously in our private half, yeah, uh, I found that if you are someone who already had a lot going on, you might expect that turning over of the new year is like that odometer rolling over
Yeah.
means something to this new
Yeah.
start you're going to have. But the truth of the matter is, if you were really busy and had uncontrolled levels of stuff you were working on before the year turned over, the likelihood is you took a small break during the holidays and now you are right back in Q1 with a lot to do and probably a little
Yeah.
bit of catch up.
Yep.
It's okay for that to be the case. And I'll say
Yep.
also for any of you who are like me going to a trade show really shortly here, going out to Impressions Long Beach or dealing with any sort of that stuff, new events, new trade shows, new stuff, you're probably feeling very busy and it doesn't feel like an ease into the new year. It feels like you're hitting the ground running right now. And
Yep.
for those folks, I'm going to say, hey, I'm with you. And at
Yeah.
least like we talked about, that means opportunity. If we're busy, if we're working hard and we're not just spinning our wheels at something, then that is opportunity. It's
Yep.
a good thing to get going.
Just keep remembering to focus on the priorities and
Yes.
learn that magic 2-letter word, the no. And the other thing to understand about no is that no is a complete sentence, right?
Can be. It can be.
It
Once again,
should be.
I
That's the
certainly have
thing.
to listen to it. If you guys didn't check out the Tubular Guys today, go back and check it out. We had Austin on, and he was talking a bit about his journey, kind of to a degree, leaving and coming back to the screen print world and certainly the
Yeah.
decorated apparel world. And part of what he discussed was the fact that saying no was where the money is, raising your prices, and doing the kind of work that is the proper fit for you
Yeah.
is certainly important. And also, another thing that I like to take away from what he discussed, he's only doing single color printing. And actually, if you go look at his Instagram, which he actually shared with us, and I'll have to bring that back up. If you look at his Instagram, all the work that he's doing is single color work that's very creative, very interesting merch work. And it's in that restriction, in saying no to more than that single color work, he's done some really creative, beautiful single color work that he's good at.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something we can certainly talk about, that sometimes restricting ourselves actually allows us to approach things creatively and get very good at the thing that we have decided to niche down on. So
Yep.
some
Yep.
interesting stuff. Check out Two Other Guys and listen to that one if you didn't catch that on the replay, because it's a worthwhile conversation
Yep.
with
For
Austin.
sure. All right. Well, let's get into the comments. We ended up leaving
Yes.
some comments off last week because we were having such a great conversation, but we want to try to make sure we get to all of them today. So we got Curtis
Yes.
checking in. Hello, Jeff. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely,
The
sir.
usual yo from
Yo,
Todd,
from
but we
Todd.
actually got it from Todd this time. I think he's fixed
Hey,
his
you
Facebook
finally.
woes.
Yeah, you're
From
back
my understanding.
out of the Facebook hole with
Yep.
StreamYard. We get your
Yep.
comments back. Good
Yep.
to
There
hear.
we go. And
Yosta.
Yosta, did I get it? Am I getting
Yeah,
better?
man.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
absolutely.
Awesome. And Rich checking in. Thank you so much. And good afternoon, Frank.
Yep.
Frank, also want to just give you a huge shout out. Thanks for sharing all of the Education Friday information out there with people
Absolutely.
in the groups. We really appreciate
If
that
you
you
want to talk
sharing.
about community building, then you have to realize, then recognize people who build community and who bring
Yep.
us together. And Frank out in the UK is big on building community. He runs his own Facebook groups and is always sharing good information for folks and bringing people together. So
Yep.
good on you, Frank.
Yep. Thank you, Frank. Good morning, Cindy. And
Yes.
Justin, here at Embroidery Nerd, we have issues hitting the go live button too. Okay, good. It's not
I'm
just
glad to
me.
hear. So other content
Thank
creators,
you.
other live presenters are out there not hitting the go button. Hey, what I'll say though, all day long, better not to hit the go button than not to hit the stop button and keep talking about things you're not supposed to. That's a
Well,
much more
there's that.
dangerous prospect.
Yeah.
Always end the broadcast before you start into your whinging.
Yes, exactly. Michelle, happy Friday to you. Excited for
Yes.
another Friday here. Todd, yes, you're right. We did get our 2 minutes back, but we will go the full 30 minutes. So,
Full
but
30.
full
We'll certainly
30.
try to cut off correctly today.
We will.
30 and no more if we can make it
So,
happen.
man, one of these times I'll get both ends of it right. I'll get the go live, and then I'll get the cutoff right. But see, this is what happens when you spoil me, Eric. You spoil me with the two regular guys, where I just sit here and I'm Terry Combs, right? I just sit and look pretty.
My problem is we can't stop both hitting the buttons on this show, and so we're both locked in with the ability to hit buttons. So
yeah. Well, Terry does have the ability to hit buttons. He just chooses not to.
He knows how to say no. That Terry Combs.
Dean says things are insane. So that's again, hopefully Dean. I know Dean from what we get to do inside of Masters of Cess Group, and I know he's kind of taken on some new things, new customers, and things like that. So just trying to get insane to be a good thing. So Dean, hopefully that's where it's heading for you.
Yes.
Yep, Justin, thank you.
Justin, definitely not me.
Pointing fingers at Justin. Okay.
Yeah, there's always someone to blame for the button being wrong, but I'll say I think for us most of the problem is just trying not to both produce the same time.
Yep, that's right. That's right. All right. Bill says, hey guys, oh yes, I often think single or two color work looks better and often more creative to get the result. Yeah, I think that's a great point, Bill. And and I love that's what Austin was kind of talking about. And I love that Bill brings this up is, as decorators here, but a big part of our job, the reason that people come to us is to get that, okay, how's this going to look better? And we know the reality is less colors is less money, especially in the screen print world, not necessarily in your digital world. So again, what are the capabilities, and then just becoming the best in that space and guiding the right customers to that process. The ones that come to Austin and say, oh well, I need full color, and he's like, yeah, sorry, I can only do this. If they're like stuck on that, then they're not his customer, and that's okay.
Well, and he's also managed to turn that into brokerage, which is perfectly fine. If you guys haven't done outsourcing, it's not a dirty word. Outsourcing is something you should do at some point in your decorating. In fact, that's the great thing. I always talk about building your dream team. If you're someone who is embroidery only, if you are screen print only, if you're DTG only, whatever it is that you do, even if you are thinking on taking on this extra overhead of doing another process, how you should probably start is by finding someone you can subcontract that stuff out to, especially if they need your expertise. If you are an awesome embroiderer and they are awesome at DTG, and you can send your printing them and they can send their embroidery to you, that is a fantastic symbiotic relationship that really can work out if everybody's on the level.
Agreed.
And also different size shops. I'll say from a medium shop, I mean, depending on what you think of as a large shop, being from a shop that did larger business to business orders, when Christmas rolled around, we were definitely in partnership with small single head third bedroom shops to do some of the gift order, super personalized stuff. Even though we did some of that work, they were very excellent at the boutique embroidery and the personalization. You can definitely make something work with that. Also, 100% as a digitizer, going into the creative side of this, I'm very glad I started out on 6 and 9 needle machines, because I don't throw 18 colors at everything. And it makes your work more efficient. And it honestly makes, I think you can still make really attractive work without having to go, what I'm going to say is maybe not the nicest way, the stock design route, where stock design's made for the home market because people are throwing in one thread at a time and it's a labor of love. They use too many colors. They use 23 individual thread colors on a commercial job that just is eating your time, and you would have to charge immense amounts if it really gets up into those numbers. Once you're retreading on a multi-needle machine, you need to be thinking about your numbers pretty hard.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, Frank, you're very welcome. Todd's got a comment I want to get back to in 1 second here. And then good morning, Ramona. Thanks for being here. Ramona. And thanks for the excellent comments in the two regular guys today too, Ramona. Appreciate that. All right. Todd said, yeah, he figured it out. He was in Facebook professional mode, which won't let you join groups or use third-party apps. So I was unaware there even was a Facebook professional mode. Maybe Todd is a Facebook professional, and that's.
I'm gonna say from having access to branded professional modes, yes. Sometimes you can end up.
I wonder if I have
the wrong
access
profile.
to that. Maybe I'm
You
not cool enough. I don't know.
you do. I know you do because we have it for two regular guys. But
All
but
right.
yes, no, the pro mode Facebook stuff you can get into issues with how you're logged in and who you are logged in as. Believe
Gotcha.
me, I have to juggle that one daily.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, what questions do you guys have? What
Yes.
we're here to answer your questions and just kind of get into what you guys want to talk about. What's happening for everybody in 2022 here? What's the burning question on your mind? We're curious to know, and we want to discuss that with you. So, Adeline, hello. Thanks for being here. I think I got that name right. Maybe
Adelina, I think, but yeah,
Adelina. Yeah, I think
you're close.
Adelina. That's probably better. Sorry about that. Sorry,
Hey,
Adelina.
we're
My
trying.
fault. And then Ramona says, we know Todd is a heat press professional because of the burns. So it's very possible he's a Facebook pro too. There you go.
Which also gets you burned in the long run. but no
Hair on
comment
the
on
back of your
Facebook
hands,
or
right?
running business.
For guys, hair on the back of your hands.
No, yeah,
Do you
you
have
don't
it or
have
not?
hair in the back of your hands after a while, depending on
Yeah, I
what
don't heat
work
press
you
enough
do.
apparently, or I've gotten better at it and I stopped burning myself. So, one of the two.
I started my very first completely professional job was as a baker, believe it or not, and I still have
Really
scars.
cool.
Yeah, commercial
Wow.
baker at a bagel shop, and
No way.
so we had a closet size oven that you would walk in and out of a 600-degree oven that I would
Yeah.
use rolled racks and out of. So I have scars on the backs of my arms for sure from running myself into the oven over and over
Yeah.
because
Wow.
hey, when you're like
Yes.
a teenager running a big piece of equipment, you can be stupid. That is how that
uh,
works, especially if you don't
nice.
fit places like, say,
Nice.
someone like I might not.
All right. Well, um, this
Work
is
safety, people.
learning something new, Eric. You and I have been friends for quite some time now, and I'm just learning this about you. So there's more
Yeah,
layers to this onion I haven't peeled open yet.
I've been working a long time in a lot of jobs, folks.
Yes,
I
you
don't know
have,
about
sir. I love
I
it.
don't
I
know about
love
all
it.
of you folks, but
Yeah.
every time
Yeah.
somebody says like I had this question once where somebody said, "What are you gonna do someday when you know?" 'Cause if you don't know, people might know. My wife is expected to have a job where she'll make some money. She's like, "What if she wanted to work and you want to stay home?" And I was like, "That sounds lovely.
Let's do
I'll
that.
I'll
Yes,
just
please.
start my own home-based business and
There
I
you
will
go.
stay home. That sounds
Yeah.
great."
We'll
Yeah,
partner up, Eric. We can. There's something we can do. I'm sure.
I'm sure. I'm sure, guys.
Nice.
That was always the joke when I was at Black Duck. Is like, what would you do if she was working? I'm like, I would clean, and then start a home-based business, and that would
There
be
you go.
awesome.
Nice. All right. So
I like
Todd
the
says, well,
joke.
now we should expect fresh bagels when attending a class put on by Eric. So,
No,
no, okay.
you should not.
It's a
I
hard
do not
pass.
have access to a big commercial oven. No,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. All right. So, and then Todd said, if you haven't burned yourself at least once, you're not a heat press operator. Absolutely. I've burned myself more than once. So,
I
um,
wasn't even a heat press operator all the time, and definitely burned myself on the heat press. So
yeah.
yeah.
Yep. All right. Adelina said, took my husband a while to get my name correct too. Well, so I had the same thing. My wife's name is fairly unique, especially her last name
All
before we
right.
were married. Her first name's Kylene, which,
Yes.
Kyle and then ENE, and some
Mhm.
very lovely name. But her last name, and Eric
Mhm.
knows this because of his studies, but it's SKJEI.
Mhm.
And so I always love to ask people to pronounce that last name when they'd see it because I screwed it up for the longest time. So it's actually Shay for
Mm.
those that aren't familiar with the Norris. What would that be
See,
considered?
I probably wouldn't say it quite like that 'cause I think it depends because it's very much how also American
Yeah,
people from
that's
places start to
correct.
pronounce things.
Yeah,
'Cause that's very much the same with I know lots of people who say CHs like German last names and they'll say a CH that should or an SCH and they'll put a ch on it or something and it has a it's more of a sh or
yeah.
Eric. I get this all the time. Eric is not a k. It's not a hard k. If you listen to a German person say Eric, it's Erich. There's
Erich.
a it's
All
like a
right.
and that depends. That's High German.
Yeah.
Depending on where you are in Germany, it might be an ish.
Wow. We're getting a language class today too. I
I
love
had
this.
as much as I am, and I'm gonna say this, I am thoroughly embarrassed because I don't speak anymore. I have a minor in German that I
There you go.
graduated with, and I used to write entire essays in German. I did 500 level classes, but now I can't speak hardly at all. All I can do is read newspapers or like listen to the news a little bit, and my confidence is out the window. So here's actually a good thing that we can talk about business wise. If there's something that you want to keep doing, practice it. If
Yeah,
you let it
exactly.
completely lay fallow and don't do it
Yeah.
at all,
Yeah.
believe me, here's a human being who wrote a graduate paper in German who now can't speak German. That is,
Well,
if you don't do something for like 2 decades, you won't be practiced
you
up
won't
in
be doing
it.
it. Yeah.
That is just
Well,
the truth.
I spent some time in Germany. I had a very good distributor over there when I worked with US Screen way back in the day. And so would go over there several times a year
Yeah.
to help them at trade shows and things like that.
Mhm.
And they all spoke English because I speak zero German. And so, but they were hilarious. They would we'd get up early in the morning, we'd be going to the show, and they'd they'd tell me, okay, time for your German lesson. And they put on Rammstein.
Rammstein. That should not be your German lesson.
That was my German lesson, but I learned how to sing in morning, so that was good.
Oh, guten Morgen.
Pretty much.
As you do. I can still
All
that
right.
too.
Yep. Let's see here. Jeff said, Jeff said, that's what I did. Talking about that.
Yeah.
Thank
Being
you.
home and starting the home-based business.
Yep,
Yeah, there's
there you
nothing
go.
wrong with that. Like I said,
Yep,
every time I have somebody
totally
who says
cool.
that to me, I'm like, yeah, okay. I
Yep,
have no problem with that. Taking
do
care
it.
of kids is a
Do
hard
it.
job. Home-based business is a hard job. These are real things, people. So no, I've been advocating for the third bedroom business for a really long time.
There you go. There you go.
That's how it is.
Erich's Banging Bagels coming to a home kitchen soon. There we go.
Okay, I was a commercial baker. I'm just gonna let you guys know. It comes in super chilled, which by the way was something in your contract. You weren't allowed to say frozen. I'm not gonna say where I worked. The goods come in super chilled. You do some prep work on them and you bake them. I'm not a real baker. I'm just gonna
Well,
say
you
that
can
right
still
now.
learn, Eric, I'm sure. All right. Yosta said prior to 2022, get Eric a big oven.
Yeah, no, I don't want to go back to baking. I'm going to say this too, because we had the super chilled stock that we had to handle. Going from a negative, I believe it was like negative 40 Fahrenheit, a super chiller box, walking in and out of that, and then walking in and out of a proofer box or an oven area was not cool. If you're someone who's prone to like migraines, like I am, chilling and then heating your head several times a day. I used to just go home and like stare at my ceiling with my eyes closed, just waiting for the headaches to stop. I don't know. I'm temperature sensitive, and that was the worst job.
Nice. All
Loved
right.
my crew. Do not want to bake anymore, guys. I got into embroidery for a reason. I also got an education for a reason, but the embroidery worked out.
There you go. There you go. All right. Justin says it will always be Erich to all of us. So hey, I didn't.
I'll take that as a term of endearment. That's what I'll
right.
say.
That's right. That's right.
It could be worse. My least favorite one still, and I know this is always having the risk of somebody now calling me this again, was I went into a shop and they immediately, when I went into their shop to consult with them, some guy just yelled from the back, apparently had been reading my stuff or watching something, just yelled, "Hey, Big E." And I was Big E that week, and I just wanted to die. I don't ever want to be Big E. Thank you.
Yeah.
E is fine. Big E is
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
I
I go with
don't want
E.
it.
I'd normally just use E
E
because
is
I'm
fine.
lazy.
I'll
But
take E. E is great. Big E, please don't. E
so
Rich, maybe only Terry.
quick funny story.
Yep.
And I'll try to be brief. So played
That's all good.
volleyball in Phoenix for a long time, was involved in the outdoor volleyball community there for many years. And there was a gentleman who played all the time, was a regular out there. His name was Eric, and he was 6'8", probably
That's a big man.
270-ish, and
Mhm.
former basketball player, very fit dude. Then there was another guy named Eric who was 6'2",
Mhm.
about, kind of in my size here.
Yeah.
And the 6'2" guy was Little E. Everybody called him Little E.
I'm actually gonna tell people one of the reasons. This is something people don't know. I go by middle name. I'm not going to tell everybody about everything else about that, but I go by middle name, and one of the reasons is my dad is an awesome human being, but well known in my town. And
Uh-huh.
if you don't know about my dad, I'm 6'4", so I'm a decently sizable human being. My
Yeah.
dad, especially in his prime, 6'8". So my dad's huge. My dad's
Nice.
huge. I am also large, but the thing is, I've been 6 foot tall since I was like 13.
Ah,
So I was a pretty big kid. But when I was really little, I would go out to my dad's shop, dad's mechanic. I'd go around with him places, and my dad's name is Bob, and I was little Bob, right? So I was little Bob for a big chunk of my life until the thing would be funny is I'd go to my dad's shops when I was 13 and help him out at the shop, or
yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
go out and muck out the bays or something
Yep.
else, as you do as
Yep.
a kid. You do your chores with your dad, and I would have a guy looking up at me, going, "Hey, little Bob," and there's 5 foot tall guy staring up toward me, trying to talk to me, and I was like, "Hey, yeah, little Bob, I wasn't good with." And when you're a teenager and you care about these things, you're like, "All right, I can't be little Bob forever. I gotta
I
I
gotta,
gotta strike out and
yeah,
go by my
become
middle
my
name." And
own person. I love it. Love it.
so
Uh,
yes, no,
all
that's
right.
by the way, any of you hit me with the little Bob, we're not talking anymore. I'm just gonna let you know that
Good.
now.
Good to know.
That's
All right.
that is direct disrespect. I will not have it.
All
Those two
right.
little letters, NO, I'm giving you them right up ahead. No on little Bob. Love my dad, but he's
Yeah.
he's Bob and he's Big Bob and he will always be the man.
Okay. So can we call you Big Bob?
Don't call me Big Bob. No, that's my dad and
Okay,
he is
that's
the
the
man,
same
and
as Little
I may
Bob.
be a man, but I will never be the man that is my dad.
All right. All right. Well, you are the man. All right. Todd
And
says, "Are you telling me a place that rhymes with
no.
and Todd, you have to change the actual name if you're doing this whole rhyme thing because you said
Yeah.
Panera. That's the name
So
of the
what I'm
place."
going to tell you is I'm a little too old. There was no Panera. There was no Panera when I was baking in high school.
Well, and for those
But
of you
yeah,
that are unfamiliar, Panera is not the original.
yeah.
It's from St. Louis and it's called the St.
Oh,
Louis Bread Co. here,
oh, there you go.
but it's Panera. Yeah.
Now
So
I think I can say at this point, I worked at a large chain bakery for bagels specifically. So yeah, that's not going to be Panera.
was it
You can keep
named after
guessing
a
if you
really
want to.
smart guy?
Might have been.
Okay.
Might have been.
I
No,
don't
they're not made fresh. Fuck
Yeah,
it.
Todd,
But
I
yeah,
don't know what rhymes with Panera, but Banera, I don't know,
no,
just
seriously,
anything.
it's not gross, but there's no bucket of dough, there's no bucket of stuff. They come made
Yeah,
pre-made
yeah.
up in there,
All
but they
right.
are made fresh somewhere else, and then they are super chilled,
Super
sub-zero, and brought
chilled
to
and
you.
then moved. Okay, gotcha. All right. Ramona says laughs at you staring at the ceiling with your eyes closed. Cindy says
Yes,
language is fun, but like you say, use it or lose it. And
absolutely true.
now Justin
No,
wants a
I'm
bagel. So
yeah,
there you
no.
go.
Like I said, a nice big bucket of bagels. They still have awesome stuff to this day. I still crave the green chili bagel with the jalapeno salsa schmear. I would eat that any day of my life. It never got tired, but I'm all about it.
I was just thinking about this, Eric.
Yes,
The half is
yes.
now turned to a food show. Because we talked food last week.
Well,
We've
we
2022, the half is now all about food.
well, we can talk about other stuff. I think, but here's the thing I think is funny about this. When we talk about that stuff, we still end up at these kind of universals where we're like,
Yep.
okay, we talk about customer service, we talk about
Yep.
work-life balance, we talk about creativity and restriction. I think that sometimes it's easy for us to want to talk about the business we do, but sometimes it's all the other parts of our life that inform how and what we do that are important. And I'll include the food, and the bagel place, and the jobs we used to do, and the places we live in that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
All right. Dean says, is that like Hellman's on one coast and Best Foods on the other? Probably talking about St. Louis, and
yeah, sure,
it's just here. I
yeah,
mean, everything else at the St. Louis Bread Co. is identical to a Panera you go into in another
really.
state, but here in the St. Louis area, they're all called St. Louis Bread Co. So,
All right.
but you go to the Panera app to order and all that kind of fun stuff. So,
The stuff you don't know.
Ramona with cinnamon cream cheese. That sounds delicious to me. I like that. I'm a sweets kind of guy. So,
Yeah, I
just
can be, but that one I got a little tired of. Here's the one thing that is not fun about working at a place that has food you like is there are certain things you just don't want to deal with. My big one was when you prepare bagels, you put them all in a big box called a proofer that steams them, then
Yep.
lets them rise before you put them in the oven.
Yep.
Um, all the different bagels go in on one rack into this big steam box. So when you open the door of the proofer, it's Asiago cheese and cinnamon and raisins and sweet and sour and everything all at once comes flooding out of there. And that's also what you smell like when you're done working. So I'm going to say yes, it could get you tired. In fact, the reason I mentioned that their bagels are still good to me is that I'm shocked. I was expecting to never want another one after thousands of them passed
Yeah.
through my hands, and the food's just still really good. So anybody who
Nice.
says, "Oh, the frozen doesn't work out," it's funny enough, it makes me think of talking about embroidery. I know this is weird. but I had somebody who was having a fight over the fact that, can you be a good embroiderer without digitizing yourself? Even though I'm a digitizer and I love it, I'm like, you can absolutely be a good
Yeah.
embroiderer without
Yeah.
digitizing yourself. Same thing. That food is good. Those bagels were good, even though they weren't prepared entirely on site.
Yeah.
You can do the thing you do well. In fact, we talked about that two other guys minutes ago. You can do the thing that you do well and do your segment of it very well and have an excellent output that people are going
Yeah.
to take value from without
Yeah.
doing the whole thing yourself.
Correct. Yep.
It's true.
100%. All right.
Anyway.
Jaship, I'm not sure if you're just getting somebody to tune in here or we got the wrong Eric
No,
there,
no,
but
no. It's like Gordon Ramsay. I think we're saying that now I'm talking about
oh,
cooking. I'm
thank
now
you.
Eric
Good grief.
Ramsay. I
Jaship, I'm so
disagree
sorry.
wholeheartedly. I don't know
I'm a
anything
little
about
slow.
cooking.
That's just me. It's okay. All right. Cindy, food is life. I'm getting ready to head to Schlotsky's. There you go.
Schlotzsky's, let's not even go there.
And
Yep.
yeah, Jeff's reminded you, not frozen, Eric, super chilled.
You are correct. Those buckets of bagels are all fantastic and freshly baked, but not frozen.
Ramona says, I never want to deal with another pickle after working with my mom to make 200 quart jars of them. Ugh, that does sound like a lot.
Oh,
All
here we
right.
go.
Adelina says, I have a question. I've got 50 knit hats with a rectangle patch on them. I need a fast way to hoop them so I have the logo centered on the patch. And of course, the logo has words on the bottom of it. So if the words are not lined up and centered, it's going to look like crap. Oof. This is a good
Mark
one.
your
I'm
hoop.
curious if you have a solution here, sir.
Well, if you're hooping them flat, as a lot of people are going to be doing, what I see people do and what we used to do was mark the hoop or use the hoop arms themselves to line up the bottom hem or the bottom edge of the knit hat.
Okay.
Um, if you are working with a knit hat that has seams, if it's not done entirely in the round, if it has seams on the left and right, which it often
Yep.
does, some people have a single seam where it'll be to the back. It depends on the construction of the hat. You can use that to do your centering. If it is something like that, then you just need to figure out which is the proper center, and then you can kind of set that up. But like I said, for us, the best method has always been to line that up, mark it that way, and make sure that you've got those retained marks. Also, if you have hats like the frames from Durkee, the hoops from Durkee, are one of the ones that have an actual grid on the hoop arms. They have a grid that you can use
Mm,
for alignment. Uh,
mm,
one of the cool things you can also do is take a ruler and hold it up to the edge of the hoop arms and check your level, check your straightness of that bottom hem. So
mm.
that's honestly that's what we've done quite a lot. If you, and I'm assuming that you are sewing them on with the embroidery machine. If you because you're talking about hooping them. So yeah, if you're doing it manually, that's a manual process, and that is just going to be you doing it manually. If you're doing it on the machine, by all means, either mark your hoops or certainly use the hoop arms. The bottom edge of the hoop arm is usually a good place if your logo is wide enough that you can't be toward the bottom of the curve in the hoop. If the logo
Uh-huh.
won't fit there, if the patch won't fit in there, then go up further and mark on your hoop, even if it has a grid, which part of the grids you're using so you can understand kind of where that has to be and where that straight line has to be.
Mm.
Um,
Interesting.
Certainly, the other thing I've seen people do, I haven't done as much, as they will try and use an adhesive and stick it down and keep ripping and pulling back off from an adhesive stabilizer. I don't like that. I like
Okay.
to fully hoop. So for me, it's all about just alignment with the hoop arms as kind of your
Interesting.
visual
Huh.
guide.
So
Yeah,
okay. So Erica, this comes from basically, we talk about, that kind of beginners ignorance can sometimes be a good thing, right? So this is where this
sure,
is coming
sure, sure,
from.
sure,
So
sure.
so if anybody wants to make fun of me, that's totally fine. But um
Hey,
so I
no bad
know
question.
in heat press applications, in screen print and sometimes like that with lining up, there are some laser systems out there. Is that something that anybody's ever really used, or is that just not something that people do enough to need something like that?
It's not something you see people really use,
Okay.
especially in hooping, because you're usually hooping free, or if you are on a jig. Some people have lasers jigs. If you have that, absolutely, you can use a laser line on a hooping jig.
Okay.
Jigs with a hat like that might be different. You usually have a free
Yeah.
hooping arm you're working on, and in that case, you're probably just as easy to line it up, especially because you're talking about a knit hat that has a clear bottom line. And I actually love to see this is always a nice confirmation. Ramona
Yeah.
says what Eric said. That's how I do it and how I teach it. Yeah, if you're sewing, if you're saying the patch is already on the hat, that's a whole different matter. If you're aligning that, well, it's not really a whole different matter. Once again, we're just aligning it to that hoop arm once again. I would still use the
Okay.
bottom edge of that hoop arm as your horizontal. If you're talking
Okay.
about centering it, yeah, the other thing you can do is mark your hoops. That's the other thing. Mark the hoops where the centering is.
Okay. Yeah. So she said, yes, it is what Dean said there. The patch is already on the hat.
I would still, even if you're doing that, I would still use a mark on the hoop and hoop the patch to the mark and make sure your alignment is always on. Truthfully, there is a portion of this that is always going to be you just marking as close as you can.
Okay, getting that. Yeah, and Ramona said, in my honest opinion, laser lights are just another thing.
Yep.
Jeff's got an interesting. Well, I didn't read it all, but I'm sure it's interesting because it's coming from Jeff, and he's always smart and good at these things. I got a cheap laser from Amazon
Yeah.
and stuck it in a light boom. Shoots a horizontal line so I can level things up. I mostly use it for right-left placement.
Yeah. As long as you have that attached where it is somewhere indexed to where you're hooping, that always works.
Yeah.
But you know what I always say about adding extra equipment?
Have a great Friday, everybody. Tune in to the Take Up here in a couple hours.
Get you next week, folks.
Bye.